welcome to What Matters, a podcast that looks inward at unique experiences, upward for divine direction, and outward at God's activity in the world. I'm Michelle Funk, your host, and I'm so glad you are here. I remind you to subscribe to the podcast, and that way you won't miss any of our episodes. And today I'm so excited to introduce to you a wonderful, wonderful voice among us. Pastor Cheryl Jefferson Bell is with us today, and I'm so delighted to introduce all of you to Cheryl and have conversation together. Cheryl, welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here with you, Michelle. Thank you for
Yes.
asking, having me here.
You are very welcome. I'll let you just kind of describe your current role on
Okay.
staff here at Church of the Resurrection. How does
Okay.
that sound? And then we'll have conversation following
right.
that.
I have been here at Resurrection a little over 8 years now, and it has been an incredible journey. I have been part of congregational care, serving in that department as a care pastor for the 5 o'clock Saturday and 5 o'clock Sunday services, which seems like a long time
I know
ago.
it has been.
It's been a long time. But then I had the opportunity to serve as pastor of community justice, which is a new visionary position that our church decided to invest in. And in general, my position is to help our congregation to get in touch with what it means to do justice ministry, to help us go deeper in some of the areas that we're already pursuing. And that really came even before what happened. I started in July of last year, 2020.
Yeah.
And that job, this particular ministry was thought about, envisioned before George Floyd's death occurred. And
Yeah.
so I ended up starting my position a couple of months early because our church developed a statement for racial justice in response to what had happened to George Floyd. And so that position encompasses areas of racial justice, creation care, LGBTQ, homelessness, just there are so many areas to focus on. And so we're in the process of discerning the direction that we're going. And I'm learning that there are several people of our congregation and beyond that are interested in pursuing justice ministry. So that makes it exciting.
Yes.
And it's my what I'll say, the last leg, amen, of my ministry. And so it's a wonderful way, wonderful swan song, I guess, for ministry. So I'm really fortunate and I'm grateful, to be able to serve in this capacity.
Yeah, yeah. And I love it that our church was already on the road.
Already.
Yeah, going in this direction well before, as you mentioned, George Floyd's tragic death. And then even before the pandemic.
Right.
Remember?
Remember?
Those days?
A long time ago, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so even before all that kicked in, and I remind people of that. I said, this was on the table, this was on the board, before, even though, racism, all the isms have been in place for many, many, many years. But this has been, I think, on the heart of our congregation of wanting to do something more. And so it's the right time.
Yeah.
Right time.
Yeah. It's been a year. Wow. So what about just like on a personal level? How has this past year been for you?
Oh, Michelle. Busted.
We've got time.
Yeah,
We've got time.
I was reflecting on Pastor Adam's sermon and survey he did, and this has not been like a year of growth for me. It has it's been challenging on so many levels for me personally. I had considered myself a pegged out extrovert. And so that part has been challenged, just being part of Resurrection. Amen.
Yeah, right.
And so, as I said, I could take on, just bring the people.
Yeah.
And so I was challenged then. And then to go in a 180-degree change in how I operated from day to day, being around people, with people, and being at home has caused Cheryl to tap into her introvert. And so I'm almost like struggling with, making her chill out a little bit and bring out
Yeah.
bring out Cheryl. And so when I get around people now, it gets revived a little bit, but it just kind of almost did me in. And then on top of that, in towards the latter part of the year in 2020, my daughter and her 4 children and I moved into a new home, and we needed the space, the room.
Yeah.
And that was just crazy. I look back on that. What in the world were you thinking? No, you were not thinking. You just, it's really out of desperation. We needed more space. And
Yeah.
so the grandchildren and I that are living under the same roof
Yes. Hello.
are 11 and 11, 7, 5, and 1.5.
Oh.
And I have gravitated into a co-parenting role. And I already had my first 4 children, and this second go round, oh honey, it's a challenge.
Maybe not any easier, huh? No. Were they in school for some time, or did they do some school from home?
They did
too?
some from home.
Ooh,
and at least in the front part of that, my daughter was she transitioned from one job into another, and so she was at home most of that. Because another thing I know I am not a homeschooling mama. Don't do that. I send them off to school.
Yes,
Amen.
right.
Bye. I'll take you to the door. I'll give you lunch money. I'll do that. But no. So all of that just it's like smack in the face, like, oh, okay, that's not your calling. That's not your gift, Graces. This is challenging. This is stressful. This is hard. So yeah, it's been a very interesting year. Just an interesting year.
Yeah. What I wonder, have you along the way, what are you learning that kind of breathes back in some life and some energy? Has there been any?
Sorry,
not happened yet.
I'm trying to discern that. No, I'm trying. It's like I kind of hit a rock bottom, and so trying to find the joy, in being there with my daughter and being with my grandchildren, because I know it's a privilege, and we need each other. And so I'm trying to approach, how I do my grandparenting and with a more positive attitude. But it's hard when one likes a clean house all the time and one doesn't get a clean house hardly at all. And so it's, trying to balance that has been hard. But I think I'm coming up for air. I'm doing a little better. But I still have to do the basics. It doesn't matter what my attitude is. There's some things that have to be done, so I make sure they get done. But I don't know.
Well, they're at busy ages too. Oh my
energy.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, 3 boys and 1 girl. And we raised 3 girls and 1 boy. And I said, you have to watch out what you ask for, Michelle, because I said, on this next generation, I'm hoping for more boys than girls, because the girls are driving me crazy. Oh. I don't know what I should have kept my mouth shut.
Yep.
I said, no.
You got it.
Yeah, I got it.
You got it.
Yeah, the exact opposite. It's just, you got to watch out what you pray for.
I know.
Lord have mercy, because God will give it to you.
That's right. At least, I think back over the year, and the best time, the times that seemed to be a little bit life-giving were it coincided with nice weather. there is something about the weather being sunny and
Hmm.
nice and warm enough to be outside
Yeah.
and just going for a walk around the neighborhood, is like, wow, so refreshing.
Yeah, I'm trying to get there.
Yeah. I mean,
But
who's
you're
got the
right.
time? But
Yeah.
when you can, just that bit of
Hmm.
sunshine is,
I'm even going to experiment a little bit in where we moved to. So, um, with the spring coming and seeing what is actually there, because we haven't been there a year yet, and so that's
hmm
kind of the exciting part of
right.
being in a new place
Yeah.
and seeing what we have. And
hmm
I know one thing: we do have one dead tree
Yeah.
in the
Oh,
very front.
welcome to that.
Oh,
Yes, sure.
yeah. So I've hung air chimes on it until I figure out what to do with it. So.
You got to
Yeah,
do
you
something.
gotta do something, gotta do something. But that's gotten me outside too,
Yeah.
and I agree with you. The weather does help because I prefer
Yeah.
warm over cold
hmm
anytime, any day.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's at least coming
Mm-hmm.
around the bend.
Amen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amen.
It's been a tough year too, though, just in the world. And
Mm-hmm.
man, here we are again with a tough news cycle happening all over again.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. I wonder, you mentioned George Floyd
Mm-hmm.
and that trial
Mm-hmm.
is just, I think, wrapping up.
Yeah, the
Correct.
Chavin
Yeah.
trial is happening, and then
hmm
I believe it was yesterday, a young man was 20-year-old, I believe. I can't remember his name,
hmm
but he was killed yesterday by
Yeah.
a police officer, 26-year veteran of the department, and
Yeah.
it was an accident.
hmm
That she pulled out a gun instead of the taser,
Yeah.
and that's tragic. And it's in that same community
hmm
where the Chavin trial is happening. So it's like it doesn't end, and one
Yeah.
gets tired
Right.
because there is a collective identity that happens when injustice is done, and
hmm
it's hard to not um, identify with those who experience personally the injustices of
Yeah.
saying it could have been me, it could have
hmm
been my grandson,
Yeah.
it could have been my son. Um,
Mm.
so it's just hard. You get weary
Mhm.
of hearing the news, and it's almost like, will it ever end? Will it ever stop?
Yeah.
So it's hard. It's hard. And then on top of that, even with the pandemic, and hearing
Mhm.
news of one of the vaccines, they're going to stop using it.
Mhm.
That maybe even though you get vaccinated, you could possibly you know catch it, the virus. I'm like,
Mhm.
really?
Right.
We don't need to hear that right
I
now. We
know.
need this giving us some hope,
Right.
to say, "Hey, we can loosen up a little bit."
Yes. Yeah, I kind of feel like it's such a weird space. I mean, just to think there's hope ahead and then to be like knocked down.
Yeah.
And then to see, okay, wait, there's still some hope ahead and then
Mhm.
to be knocked down again.
Mhm.
And this thing of just it's tiring, it's
Mhm.
exhausting.
It
Uh,
is.
yeah.
It is. It almost, makes you wanna, um, just kinda hide and not
Mhm.
come out.
Mhm.
But we can't be that way, because we got Jesus. Amen.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
We are people of hope.
Yeah.
But it's something we can't, take for granted that it's gonna not only be present, but that it's gonna be able to kick in. We have to
Mhm.
be intentional
Mhm.
about tapping into it
Yeah.
because I don't think it's a natural thing. It's something that we have
Mhm.
to work with.
Right. Right. Well, and it counteracts the heaviness
Mhm.
that has to be just
Mhm.
pushing down such a burden.
Mhm.
Um, I sometimes too think it would be nice just to go hunker down in a little cabin with a little lake outside that has beautiful fish in it that, come
Mhm.
when it's time for dinner
Yeah.
and stuff.
And mountains
And
in the
that's
background.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all of
Nice.
that
All of that.
and
Yeah.
beautiful sunshine all the time. And then, when you say we've got Jesus, I think also we're to be Jesus
Right.
to the world.
That's right. That's
We
right.
and it's tiring
It
to do
is.
that.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
When I was in seminary, that reminded me of you read about monks and those um, holy folk, that are loners and,
Mhm.
they generate all these amazing works, and I'm like, well, they can be that way because they're not dealing with people.
'Cause they're
They don't have
secluded.
family.
Yeah, yeah.
They they can be as holy as they can be. Amen. Amen. Come on over here where the real life is
Oh,
happening.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that
yeah.
hit me one day in class. I'm like, yeah, yeah,
Right,
okay,
right.
okay.
If you're secluded and
Yeah.
have that as the all the focus right there, then sure, you
Mhm.
can achieve that.
Without the extra stuff either,
Yeah,
to
yeah,
go with that. Because I was just thinking, well, I kind of had that, during this time of being, in my home, but I wasn't isolated. This was like
right. Yeah,
real life was inside of there. It's
yeah, yeah.
like,
You were put into a little closer contact
mm-hmm,
with
mm-hmm,
naturally, the kids are busy and noisy and all of
mm-hmm.
that, and yeah, so
Yeah.
you were just put right up against that on a daily
On a
basis.
daily
Yes,
basis, yes.
fun.
I had a reprieve this past week. My ex invited the grandkids to be down in Wichita with him for a week during spring break.
Mhm.
I volunteered to drive them to Wichita.
Yeah,
I had an option of either Friday or Saturday, and
uh-huh,
I chose Friday.
yeah,
And my daughters picked them up Saturday.
yeah,
But it was glorious taking that, little break. So,
I bet.
mhm,
I bet. Yeah. So you had the drive to yourself.
mhm, yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
yes,
So yeah, just sometimes getting out and driving around is a little
mhm,
bit of peace and quiet.
mhm.
Nice. Nice.
The routine I have, uh, one grandson takes the bus, and so he's usually gone about 7:20, and then I drop off grandson and granddaughter,
Mhm.
and when I drop her off, then it's like, I have 2.5 hours
Of quiet.
of quiet. So I have grown to appreciate, those
Yeah.
times of quiet and
Mhm.
peace. And
Mhm.
I don't know if I've appreciated that before. I appreciate it a whole lot more now.
Yeah.
I really do. Yeah.
Yeah. I bet so. Yeah. And then one day, I don't think anytime soon, but one day we'll probably come back to our offices and
Mhm.
and do all of that. And so,
Yeah,
some of that's going to be gone.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Figuring out what that's going to look like. So,
Mhm. Mhm.
it's not a done deal yet.
Mhm.
We're still on the I hope we're on the tail end of this thing, but
Yeah.
there's still some um I think changes that are coming.
Right.
Still
Right.
some
Yeah.
changes.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned with the community justice, there are different parts involved that I don't even know that I was aware of, like
Mhm.
creation care.
Mhm.
And so I bet there's some good work going on all
Mhm.
over the place, I guess is what I'm
Yeah.
trying to say.
Well, I tell you, I learned something, Michelle, from moving from congregational care into missions. So, because this
Mhm.
position falls under the missions department,
Mhm.
and so just learning the different focuses and the differences between the two different ministry areas. So
Mhm.
I've been learning about missions and all that we're doing, in
Yeah,
our outreach and
right.
we're doing some justice ministry, but we're
Mhm.
gonna elevate that,
Hmm.
elevate those elements. And so that's
Hmm.
exciting.
Yeah.
But I had to learn. It was like starting anew, coming on the other side of campus,
Yes. Right.
and learning what all that we do. This is an amazing congregation, generous
Hmm.
and um, um, passionate, compassionate,
Hmm.
and so it's been a good thing. It's been a good thing to be able to. Um, I think about congregational care being more internally focused because we care for our people. We have
Hmm.
outreach and help, but that's the focus. And so this is like the opposite of outreach. Looking outward.
Right.
And so again, it's been a good balance. A
Hmm.
good balance. Yeah.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that, this time of year is when Mindy Corcoran, her
Mm-hmm.
good work with the 7 days
Yes.
events, is
Mm-hmm.
that a good way to say that?
Yeah.
Where she, coming from a tragedy that
Mm-hmm.
occurred in our community, kind of like Pastor Adam talks about, it wrings some good from
Mm-hmm.
it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
today is the 7th. We're recording on the
hmm.
13th,
Hmm.
and I wore my shirt.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I wore my
yeah.
shirt. My faith
Faith
wins.
wins.
4:13:14.
Yeah.
That faith always wins, and
Yeah.
that kind of reflects the reflection from Pastor Adam's sermon. For Easter, that
Mhm.
it may be Friday, but Sunday's coming.
Yeah.
And that is, I grew up, with that major theme that no matter what, God is present and God will win in the end.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, good.
Amen.
That might be what we wrap up with today. That's a good ending.
Hmm.
It's like when you pick up a big book and you think, oh, I don't know if I'm going to read this or not. And you flip to the end and it's a good
It's a good ending.
ending.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
It
That's
kind of
right.
gets you through each page at a
Hmm.
time. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, Cheryl, I'm so grateful to just get to talk to you, hear a
Thank
little bit
you.
about your life
Yeah.
and all of the ups and downs of it. It's just
Hmm.
that's what life is, and that's what life brings.
It's
So
real.
it is.
Lord have mercy. It's
That's right.
real.
That's right. And we just kind of keep doing it
Yeah, we do.
day by day.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a
Eh,
blessing to hear from you.
Thank
Thank
you for
you.
having me. This
Thank you
was
for
fun.
sharing.
This was
Yeah.
fun.
Good, good. So that's what matters with Pastor Cheryl Jefferson Bell. And it's just been a joy to spend this time with you all. Thank you for being a part of this episode. And again, I'll just remind you, subscribe. That way you won't miss any of our upcoming episodes as well. That's what matters for today. And we'll talk with you next time. Thank you. Always got to give a little
Gotta give
wave
a
at the end.
bye.
Yeah, yeah. I thought that
Hope
was,
that was okay.
oh, I love mentioning, Faith wins at the end. I
Mm-hmm.
hope that was all right. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we got to be real and
Mm-hmm.
just have real conversation because
Yeah.
that's what life is. And there are going to be hundreds of people who go, yes.
Mm-hmm.
When you talked about the, busyness of the kids.